Man, I haven't messed with that game in so long. I like the idea of getting back into it, but I don't like the game enough to get back into it.
They kind of like revamped. We'll play some of the ones. I'll show you. It's not that bad.
I don't like Destiny.
Okay.
I don't care how much they did on Halo. It's not even the same team that worked on fucking Halo
If you do, then
anymore.
you have all the DLCs too.
That is sweet. Okay, if I don't have to buy anything, I'm down.
All those dudes work for 343 now anyway.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bungie is his own thing. Like Bungie
is now separated off from fucking. The people that made Halo are separated out from fucking Bungie now.
like it's like Bungie
They're like gone.
created. They had like a sub like production company that was 343 that they were making like most of like the story and the shit, and then Bungie was like the ones that delivered the game itself.
Yeah.
So then after a while, 343 itself just kept had this other production like who helped them make the game itself. Okay.
What game?
Words.
Destiny?
Yeah, no, Halo 4 because
Halo 4, 343.
it was just
Yeah.
all 343, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, Bungie had I think some small input and shit.
I mean, I could be.
But of course they didn't get fucking Marty O'Donnell, and for that the newer music sucks ass. It sucks so much cock.
Music in Destiny.
Yeah,
is very,
it's not great.
It all sounds super triumphant.
Yeah.
And then I don't know.
It sounds the
gets
fucking
boring.
same, bro.
I think I don't know. The newer Halos, the quality is like it's.
Yeah, I just don't give a shit anymore.
It's losing its zest a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's still not beautiful games every time they come out. Like they look good.
Oh no, dude, they're stunning.
Yeah, exactly.
Everywhere I go, it just looks amazing.
Like in Halo 4, the Forerunner planets. Oh my god!
Even Halo 3, like just from the very beginning of that game, everything looked beautiful.
Yep.
Because I remember playing Halo 2 for 3 years straight.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever experienced multiplayer as well.
Well,
Oh yeah.
So this is episode 2.
Oh yeah, episode 2.
Episode
Welcome.
2. Welcome.
After dark, dude. We're back. We're back with another episode, dude.
So late, it's
We're
right
gonna get
outside.
spooky.
We are
my
back.
My penis is hard. Can you hear?
Stop.
That was an EVP, dude. We caught an EVP live on the podcast, dude. My cock is hard. Oh my god, dude.
I feel like it makes sense that we attract this.
Yeah. So if you can't notice by now, by the audio quality, we have fucking 3 mics now. We have a mixer, and we have 3 mics.
We got on Spotify.
Whoa.
Now we don't know how to act.
We got Spotify. We're now on Spotify. Go check us out. The links will be in the description below, and if you're listening on Spotify already, well, I mean, you're already there, so check out our other episodes there. We're on YouTube. We got RSS. We're in the shit now.
Yeah, we're popping up.
Shit. Yeah, dude. We're about to start fucking flexing on these other fucking paranormal podcasts that think they're all fucking cool and shit.
Yeah, and I bet they hear random noises.
We're gonna hold you down and dip our fucking balls in your mouth with how fucking scary this shit is.
Bulldogging your content.
Bulldogging, dude. You know what the bulldog position is?
Isn't it like when you okay, this is what I know bulldogging is. When you go up behind somebody, you grab them by the balls and lift and drop. What? It's like a shitty suplex. Mike called it the bulldog.
Shit, dude. Probably. All right, so we're hopping in.
Oh, Texas is completely frozen.
Dude.
Stop it. Now
Please,
you're gonna have to
let me announce the fucking title first, you dick. All right, so this episode, if you're curious, is shadow people. I want to get into the subject of shadow people because I think it's pretty spooky. I think it's a pretty scary subject to kind of get into because it's a phenomenon that's kind of been happening a long ass time through history, back to like ancient times and shit, back in England. Another thing we should cover, speaking of England, is probably the Shadow Monk House, which is creepy in and of itself.
Yeah, I've never heard of
but
that.
That's a topic for another day, which kind of goes hand in hand with this. It's like a haunted house where people had, like in England, where apparently it's kind of had like a weird bloody history. People have seen like shadows and shit. Like the Shadow Monk, it's this like shadow figure that walks around. And he's like a dark, fucking, like it looks like a monk. I know I keep saying that, but it looks like an old English monk.
An old English monk. I
So
imagine a powder wig and just monk clothes.
Yeah, so pretty much this is a phenomenon in which people see shadow-like beings or entities, usually at night or during sleep paralysis. Some of these reports are during the day, and usually, when they're seen, they look like a shadow, but even in the dark, they look like beings that are composed completely of pure darkness, that stick out completely out from the rest of, like, the room. Like, you know how you see something that's blacker than dark while at night? Kind of like that. Usually people see them in sleep paralysis. Sometimes they will even sport red or yellow golden eyes. Usually they're human-shaped, but can sometimes be amorphous blobs. These beings, all of which are usually 6 to 7 feet tall, but they're normally in like the 6-foot range, so they're not like super, super tall. People describe an entity watching either from a doorway, closet, or corner of a room. Most accounts say that observation is really all that happens. But a lot of others say that you experience kind of lethargy or like you're being choked in your sleep. But that's with another entity, which I'll kind of describe later. While sleep paralysis is a natural phenomenon, it is important to note that not every encounter is like that. In fact, sleep paralysis can be totally explained, but what cannot be explained is that people see the same sort of entities all over the globe. So, like, in Japan, in Europe, and as far back as, like, the Middle Ages and shit, even Native American tribes kind of
saw shadow people.
Yeah, saw shadow people, kind of like reported them and stuff, or at least recorded them in kind of ancient shit. Many meth addicts report the appearance of shadow people after prolonged periods of sleep deprivation. Psychiatrist Jack Potts suggests that methamphetamine usage adds a conspiratorial component to the sleep deprivation hallucinations. One interviewed subject said that you don't see shadow dogs or shadow birds or shadow cars. You see shadow people standing in doorways, walking behind you, coming at you on the sidewalk. These hallucinations have been directly compared to the paranormal entities described in said folklore. Finally, visual hallucinations, such as those caused by schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, may appear to be shadowy figures at the edge of your peripheral vision. However, despite this, there are also many sightings from people recorded who don't have mental illnesses, don't engage in drug use, and in many cases are actively awake during these encounters. So it's kind of like, it's weird because people sometimes they're described with ghosts. Sometimes they go hand in hand, ghosts. Other times, not really. Like, it's hard to explain, but I'll get into that a little bit later. I just kind of want to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
Well, it's... The more you explain it, like, the more haunting it is to me. Because I've experienced a lot of shit like that.
Right.
And don't do drugs. But I have, done Adderall a lot, and they said like what Adderall has like meth in it. Or?
Yeah, it's an amphetamine.
What? Amphetamine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during that rough patch, I did see a lot of shit because I would like pull like 3-4 day bingers where I didn't sleep at all.
Yeah.
And then I would see shit crawling from under my bed.
Never got that heavy into it, but the couple days I did do it, I did have like similar like at least weird experiences as far as like fever dreams and just like I remember one in particular, like I was at Brandon's old apartment and we also drank that day. So, I woke up in the middle of the night because I managed to somehow pass out on Adderall. And I thought I saw something in the doorway. And this is when, like, what you were saying kind of twisted me a little bit. Because whatever it was in the doorway wasn't...
Were you, like wide awake, though?
I felt like... It felt like sleep paralysis. It's the only time in my life this has ever happened. I couldn't move, but I felt like I saw something in the doorway.
Right.
Like
This happened...
This happened on Brandon's apartment on St. John's when he lived over there for that little stint of time.
Yeah.
And I felt myself just trying to say, like, leave me alone, like, go away, like whatever it was. It was weird. I'm gonna tell you, like, it could have just been like a really weird, fucked up dream.
Right.
Because I've had like a lot of weird, cyclical, bad dreams where there's something in the house you can't see what it is.
Yeah.
But you can't run and you sure as shit can't scream.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is. It could just be like, your brain just playing tricks on you.
Right.
I don't know if there's any correlation. I don't know if I have to go talk to a fucking medium.
Priest or something.
Yeah, but it sure as shit happened.
Right.
No matter what it was, it happened.
Yeah, a lot of these seemingly happen during sleep paralysis. A lot of them don't, though, surprisingly. So it is a thing where it's like, could they be feeding on, like, negative emotions? Could they be were you having, like, a rough patch?
Oh, yeah, dude, that was sure as shit a rough patch.
Yeah.
Like, I was fucked up. Like, when I went to sleep. Like, I was, like, really, like, up and down.
Any emotional shit or baggage going on at the time.
Angsty early 20s where you bombarded your brain.
Definitely a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
At least for me.
Yeah.
No, I feel it.
And that's another part of, like, the lethargy thing is, like, are they feeding on people's negative emotions? Are they honing in on, like, what people are feeling at the time? And just kind of, like kind of how, like, sharks smell blood in the water. Yeah. And they're just like, oh, shit, I can get my next meal from this fucking person. Could it be that?
Well, they do say that, like, demons and shit, like, do feed off of your negative emotions. Right. And your negative emotions and your fear and in your anger, they grow stronger. And then that's when people, like, they start to break the link.
Right. So, one entity...
Eat your energy.
Could
that
be.
Aren't in this reality.
Well, I'll get to that.
But on a different spectrum.
One entity in particular is the Hat Man. It is a shadow being that can be seen wearing a wide-brimmed hat, again sporting glowing red or yellow eyes, drawing comparisons with demonic entities that also in folklore are said to have glowing yellow eyes, and is around 7 to 8 feet in most cases. So this is a tall motherfucker.
Still fits the description of something big enough to fit out a doorway.
I've heard stories where, like, the Hat Man comes in from a doorway and is taller than the doorway itself. What were you gonna say?
I've also had, like, haunting presence, or I think I've already talked about the Rabbit Man on the podcast before.
Yeah.
But that kind of fits that description of that a little bit.
Yeah,
sort of. I can see that.
This weird being that has no...
There's a haunting being that doesn't have a shape, but they only has one descriptive, like, thing about it. At least a lot of people are saying a white brim hat.
Yeah.
I saw a white rabbit mask on a shadow figure.
If you're curious, go check out our second episode of our normal podcast on Spotify or YouTube. We kind of talk about our own little paranormal misadventures and, shit that we've kind of experienced also.
Yeah, my brain's not right, though. So.
Yeah. That's okay, though. So, Reports of this entity say it is in fact male. The vibe or feeling they get is usually masculine as well as like totally negative. Like whenever people see the Hat Man, it's usually like not a good experience.
Yeah.
With normal shadow people, it's like, you know, it might creep you out or like might give you the creeps or some shit. But at the end of the day, it's not like a totally wholly negative experience.
Yeah.
It's just like oh fuck, I saw that. Whatever. But the Hat Man, when people see him in sleep paralysis, it's usually like it seems like a fucking totally negative experience. Like whenever somebody's around them during these encounters, while shadow people are sometimes totally silent or benign, not entirely causing harm, and are even sometimes easily explained away. Reports of this entity are usually very negative and very malevolent. During these encounters, the Hat Man in particular, people report feeling intense and irrational primal fear, lethargy, and as if their life is being sucked out or fed on. It's as if they're being drained of like emotions and like shit like that.
And anything dealing with demons will tell you that like the moment you go into that said place, like
yeah,
you just feel it.
Yep.
You feel cold. You feel lost and scared.
Yeah, and I mean it's not like fucking Ghost Adventures where it's like, oh, I was taken over by a ghost and now I'm fucking.
There's a draft.
Oh,
someone on his walkie say draft. Did you hear that?
Did you hear that, bro? Do, bro, do.
Yeah. I felt breathing in the back of my neck. And I knew there was something there. Yeah, and then when I stopped breathing in the back of his neck, I heard something.
Oh, fuck. I love Ghost Adventures, dude.
No, I do.
Great.
I do.
They're terrible, but they're great.
Yeah.
All right. So, some claim that they are approached on or that the Hat Man hovers over the top of them, strengthening the scientific community's claim that the Hat Man is experienced as sleep paralysis. Yet others also claim to see him during the daytime when they are awake or going about their day. Still, other accounts state they experience seeing Hat Man during or after or before a major traumatic during a major trauma or traumatic event. This connection to the Hat Man would seem to suggest a spiritual or emotional driven aspect to the shade or shadow figure that is not always accounted for. So, like, you know, like we said before, they might be drawn to, like, negative emotions, a trauma that's going on in somebody's life, a big change, something that kind of leaves them in emotional, not turmoil, but, like, you know, sometimes emotional turmoil, sometimes just like going through changes emotionally or mentally. Some explanations for the Hat Man are that it could be a manifestation of what people think of as scary in psychology. A wide-brimmed hat is usually seen as like intimidating, strengthening the claim that it could be a manifestation of trauma and the brain's coping mechanisms. However, that also strengthens the theory that if it were to feed on negative emotions, the victim of an intense trauma, or even people while they have nightmares, it would be the perfect like buffet for them. Could be a manifestation of sleep paralysis or sleep deprivation, but it doesn't really explain why so many people see the exact same entity all over the world. Even then, these sightings date back in every part of the world. In North America, pre-colonization, they were documented in Hopi, Navajo, Apache, and Choctaw mythology. So, yeah, it's, like I said, pre-colonization in fucking America. Hopi Indians saw it. Fucking Navajo, Apaches, Choctaw, Cherokee, etc. Kind of like all saw this type of fucking phenomenon. And it's kind of been happening everywhere in human history, even the fucking Hat Man, which is super creepy to me because it's like, yeah, like definitely like wide brimmed hats have been a thing fucking since forever.
Yeah.
But like, oh dude.
Yeah, there's just something about like an entity or a force or presence that has no identity. That has no face. I can't relate with whatever this is. It's just pure energy that I don't understand.
Yeah, like this
So I think
weird,
about
dark matter.
Yep, and I think about that day at Brandon's old apartment, and whatever the fuck was in the doorway, it could have been my eyes just adjusting because I was so twisted I couldn't even look straight.
Yeah.
It was probably just my eyes adjusting to the dark, and when your eyes are trying to adjust, you can see a little bit, and then like you said, the shadow.
Yeah.
But I felt something.
I have a
Something felt
personal
off.
experience with this shit. Well, my sister does. So when we were moving into our house, I was like 6 years old at the time. Like I was a little kid, and she was like around 10 or 11. Now, we slept on like the second floor, and every night we would go to sleep. Now, mind you, we had the house blessed. So this kind of doesn't really make sense how this shit could happen. Especially if, like, I don't know, like, I kind of experienced a little bit of it too.
It was the Holy Spirit, dude.
The Holy Spirit, dude. So
The three, the Trinity.
yeah. So every night my sister went to sleep. We slept in the same bed together because we were little kids and we didn't really have separate rooms. She would wake up and see like kind of like a shadow. So like every night it was like she would go to sleep and she would see like a shadow person in the corner. Well, one night for some fucking reason, it kind of like got closer. And it would, like, every single night, it would get closer and closer and closer. Pretty much, like, standing next to her bed now. And she would be, like, she was a little kid at the time, but she said she would be, like, totally wide awake during this encounter. At some point, it just, like, totally stopped. Like, it fucking stopped immediately. And throughout the next like month or so, nothing happened. And then one night she was sleeping, lights were all off, and I remember, here's what I remember, and I'll tell this from my perspective first. I remember her like screaming and like waking up. And I saw her, like, run out of the fucking room, start turning all the lights on. She ran downstairs and started turning all the lights on while she was, like, crying and shit. And my parents got up and were like, what the fuck's going on? And they were, like, trying to console her and stuff. And she was all crying. And so I remember waking up and kind of just being, like, confused and shit. Turns out she woke up and it was, like, directly in her face. Like, right in her fucking face. Fuck. So she woke up and, like, ran around the fucking house turning on all the lights because it was, like, right in her fucking face. And when she turned on the lights, it went away. So I guess she must have, like, jumped off the bed, ran past it, and, like, fucking did all that shit. So that's my experience with this. And now, we haven't necessarily experienced anything else in my house. I mean, I have some other stories, but this might be totally unrelated to those stories.
True, I feel you on that like point too, where like it could have just been simply nothing, but it's like that one day we were at my mom's house, and you remember this, dude. We were all just sitting in the living room eating popcorn, and it looked like someone was walking towards the window.
Yeah.
And then they just banked left really hard. They just hard left. And we all just got up like, what the fuck?
No, it was just me and you. It was during Lewis's birthday.
Yeah.
We were watching Grave Encounters too. And when we were watching it, I had this like weird fucking feeling. I'm like, okay, something feels odd. It feels like somebody's like staring me the fuck down. And I kind of look at you guys, and you guys were watching the movie or whatever, and I look to the left, and you guys have those like, well, at your old house, you had those like big windows in the front, like person-sized windows.
Yeah.
And they had like curtains in front of them. I look over, and there's a fucking silhouette of a person, like just standing there, like just fucking standing there. And then I remember looking at you, and then you looked at me, and we just kind of looked dumbfounded, like we both fucking saw that, right?
Yeah,
and it
dude.
was like, I think it was at like 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah,
too.
it was late, and there's no reason why
fucking
we
late.
both saw that though.
Yeah, and there's no really real reason in a neighborhood like that for somebody to just be like walking around like that at night at that time.
Yeah.
Unless they're like fucking plastered. But I remember us looking, like I opened up the fucking, like I looked behind the window and I was like, nobody's fucking there. And the way that the silhouette looked on the window, it looked like they were like right up against the fucking window. That's what fucking creeped me out. That's why I immediately like jumped up and looked out. And then me and you kind of looked at each other, and we asked fucking Lewis and Hector, and they were like, what are you guys talking about? You guys are idiots. The most oblivious people on the fucking planet.
Yep.
Remember the rest of that night, we were hearing shit.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
We heard the fucking side door open, even though it was locked when we checked it. We went around the fucking, remember that?
Yep.
We went around the house and shit with like, because we thought somebody like fucking broke in or some shit. Both the front door and the fucking side door were locked. So we were going around the house with like a fucking bat and shit.
Yep.
Like thinking like, oh, somebody broke into our shit. Now we're going to break them.
Yeah, we're just gonna break their legs.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
So we didn't hear shit after that.
I don't know, man. It's really hard to debunk things sometimes.
Yeah.
It really just kind of stretches outside of rhyme and reason.
Yeah. And like I can totally see in this phenomenon. And that's another thing. My story, it happened before like a pretty big issue in my family. I won't get into it or anything because it's kind of private, but something pretty traumatic happened to my sister and all of us, and that also could have been like an indicator of like, yeah, it feeds on like those kind of emotions. It feeds on like a traumatic event in somebody's life. You know what I mean? And like I said before, it happens either before or after. So could that have been an indicator? You know what I mean? And, psychologists have examined my sister and been like, hey, this probably is a phenomenon that happened after. Well, if that's the case, then why did it happen like a year or two before that incident in our life happened?
And sure, you could use whatever the fuck they're saying and saying that it was a precursor to it, but also it just timeline doesn't match, you know?
Yeah. All right. So like, here's another thing, right? Speaking of Art Bell again, because I fucking love his show. He did have one show talking about this sort of shit. He had a couple of shows. Coast to Coast AM late night radio show hosted by Art Bell helped popularize modern beliefs in shadow people and bring it to the forefront of modern folklore. The first time the topic of shadow people was discussed on length at the show was April 12th, 2001, where Art interviewed Native American elder Thunderstrikes, who is also known as Harley Swifty or Reagan. Thunderstrikes, aka Harley Swifty or Reagan, is an accomplished teacher, healer, martial artist, and founder of the Deer Tribe Medicine Society in Scottsdale, Arizona, which I guess he describes himself as like a twisted hair elder, which is like different tribes that kind of like got together and saw like a common thread and stuff. And these women like went around to different tribes collecting stories and other people to go to other tribes and kind of like kind of get things together. I was listening to it on the radio before I came over, and he seems a little nutso, but he's like this half Native American. I guess he's like straight up half Cherokee dude who's half that and half Irish. So I guess he's like Matei, which is like half and half.
Okay.
And I guess he's like an elder or whatever there. And I mean, after looking it up, I have seen some like negative shit about this dude on the internet.
Oh yeah.
But that he might be lying about his credentials. But I guess he's like medicine man.
Let me see that 23andMe era. Don't count.
I don't think they like 23andMe doesn't pick up that sort of shit.
Yeah, I don't think it
didn't
does
know
either.
that
It's like
before.
oddly specific about it, like what it does.
Yeah. Art Bell himself had an experience with the Shadow People as well, years after that show. During his run of the show Midnight in the Desert, which is like a later iteration of the show, he like left the original show Coast to Coast AM because some like weird internal drama, and then somebody else took over. So he started a different AM radio show called Midnight in the Desert, which is still pretty good. It's like the same sort of thing. He had a terrifying experience in the Ham Shack, the separate but same office as the studio where he produces the show. His actual, which is his actual home in Nevada. Years after Coast to Coast, as well as another show on SiriusXM, he moved to an entirely new show called Midnight in the Desert. One night after hours, upon his initial return to the show, which is like maybe, I think like a few weeks after he started like the brand new show, he encountered what he described as a shadow being. He was staring over at the computer screen, going over user-submitted emails, general work, when he saw movement to his right. It was the shadow of a being, of something, watching him very intently. In disbelief and intense fear, the host turned his head around, seeing it appear behind him also. He rubbed his eyes in disbelief and looked around, and it was gone. All of a sudden, from the left of his vision, he saw it there again, coming even closer to him as it was flickering as it came towards him. As he described, he lost it despite his daughter and wife sleeping in the house, and went into the area where they stored the firearms and retrieved one as well as a flashlight and began searching the compound only to find nothing. So this dude who like talked about it really only once on a show, like decades before, like experienced it himself, like years fucking later. Kind of crazy to think about like some of the shit after you talk about it for so long. Sometimes it becomes like attracted to you, which is fucking creepy in and of itself.
No, really, it is. Like if it's you go out in the universe searching for this shit, sometimes it'll give it to you.
The paranormal explanations for these entities are as follows. One could be totally paranormal, ghosts or spirits, though the ghosts or demons could theoretically, mimic these entities to a degree, being that they could be separate. Two, the Hat Man is a demon, usually sent to make a deal or steal the life force energy or emotional energy from somebody. Three, it could be a higher, other dimensional being or fourth dimensional being that feeds off this sort of like our sort of emotional spectrum. Or four, it's totally an otherworldly being meant to monitor, feed on, or record other people's emotions. Ken Gerhard, a journalist for the San Antonio Current in San Antonio, Texas, interviewed a resident named Stacy Alejos, who relayed to him a very creepy, disturbing tale. Now I'm gonna read the article here because this is
The article that, the story that she told Gerthard.
yeah.
Okay.
So now this actually is kind of creepy. Here's the article in full. According to Stacy, when she was a very young girl living on the far west side of San Antonio, she was woken up one night by an uncomfortable sensation and felt eerily compelled to look out her bedroom window. As her eyes adjusted to the darkness, Stacy could clearly make out the outline of a humanoid figure standing behind the white picket fence that surrounded her yard. Though she couldn't make it out much in the way of features, she could clearly discern what she interpreted to be a pork pie hat on top of the figure's head.
Porcupine hat?
Pork pie, which is kind of like that wide brimmed hat thing, or like a fedora or whatever.
Not a hat with a porcupine on it.
Yeah. No, that would hurt. That would hurt your skull. Yeah, that would be almost as good as the Gorilla Glue lady.
Not as good.
God, we're never going to shut up about that.
Part 2.
I want to see them like porcupine hat and her just like ram heads.
Oh, next
across the
episode,
room.
guess what? There is a part 2 to that. So we'll talk about that later. But anyway, as Stacy watched fearfully, the being began to sidle in a strange sideways motion, all the while keeping its outstretched arms on the top fence post. When she noticed the audible crunching of dried leaves behind the entity's feet, Stacy was quite sure that she was not dreaming nor imagining things. Now, when he's in the article, when he says that it was on the top of the fence post, like in Texas, they have those like privacy fences and shit.
Yeah.
So this had to be like a tall motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
Like if his arms were just like on it or whatever. Understandably terrified, the young girl dove underneath her sheets, quaking in fear until morning. Her adamant attempts to wake her aunt, who was sleeping next to her at the time, were futile. It's almost as if her aunt had been in a trance. This event had a profound impact on her since. As she grew older, Stacy admittedly developed a fascination with all things paranormal, much to her parents' dismay. Though remarkably, she had also learned that her parents have claimed to have sighted an inexplicable disc-shaped object hovering over their property one night, though they didn't like to talk about it. So that's a totally separate experience, I guess, that her parents had, where they obviously saw like a UFO or some shit.
Oh shit.
Now that also goes into like the otherworldly theory, right? Of like like aliens.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. Just like a little side note there. The utterly synchronistic aspect of Stacy's experience occurred just recently when she had met another San Antonio woman who related a nearly identical sighting to her. In fact, the other woman had volunteered the information with absolutely no knowledge of Stacy's encounter, and perhaps even stranger still, both women discovered that they grew up in adjacent neighborhoods. As unbelievable as it sounds within the field of paranormal research, there are many references to specter-like apparitions known as shadow people, ghostly black figures that appear in people's peripheral vision, suddenly vanish into thin air. These phantoms are believed to subsist on fear and are often perceived to be bad omens. Interestingly, there are numerous accounts of specific shadow beings known as the Hat Man, whose black fedora is immediately recognizable by all who see him. Skeptics would be quick to explain the shadow people as a product of mere hallucinations or perhaps imaginations gone wild, but there are some intriguing theories that have been put forward to explain the phenomenon, including demonic manifestations or interdimensional visitors. If San Antonio residents think they've seen the Hat Man, I would love to hear about it. Ken Gerhard in 2012. So, from the story, it sounds like it's two different fucking girls.
Yep.
Who kind of like experienced the same sort of sighting.
Yep.
Like multiple different fucking times.
Within stretch of over time and within the same like general area.
Yeah.
Like vicinity. So I mean, it's just a
Maybe
little
it's
weird.
A hot spot.
Yeah.
True.
Sounds like it. Which is
some rando not logic for you.
Yeah, dude. Fucking creepy, man. I mean, it could totally be explained away as like, what if it was just like some fucking peeper, you know?
Yeah.
Could have been like a neighborhood fucking creep. But it doesn't explain why what she saw was so fucking tall.
Yeah.
Like this tall fucking being just sitting there.
And she got peepers jerking off on ladders.
Yeah, which also like kind of goes hand in hand with the other thing that I said about like the shadow people being like tall as fuck.
Yeah.
Or the Hat Man. Like the normal shadow people are like maybe 6 to 7 feet, which is like it's tall for a human, but it's not like out of the realm of possibility for a person.
Yeah.
But when it's like standing above the fucking fence post, that's like when it's like not like it doesn't sound.
That's when we're getting
at all.
like the Slender Man, like this weird gangly. If it even has a shape, it's just
right.
It has to be long, like, you know.
Yeah.
For that body like diameter, like, you know, it has to at least have some elongated features.
Yeah, dude, I don't like that. That's
right.
creepy. Creeps me out. Especially when something's like that inhumanly tall.
Yeah.
It's like you don't really notice like a person's height, like on camera and shit, until you're like right up next to them, and then you're like, oh shit, I forgot this person was this tall. Like fucking Elliot.
Yeah.
Every time I see Elliot in person, I'm like, damn, I actually did forget that he was this fucking tall.
And you think you're tall because you're like 5'11"-ish, probably somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So you think you're like, all right, I'm doing...
Yeah.
No, but then he towers over me and Lewis.
Yeah.
Lewis could probably sit in a baby carrier and like he can carry him around.
Yeah, you guys are short, dude.
It's all right, though. I'm powerful. I'm powerful. I start crying.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to think about, especially, like, if these reports are kind of, like, all over the world, then kind of makes you think that it's not just human psychology. Like, it could be, but it makes you think that it kind of isn't.
Right.
Just the way that people have seen these throughout history. People have seen them at night, during the day, totally free of drugs, totally clean. Like, what the fuck could it be, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I could totally go with the explanation that it's like a demonic entity or something.
Exactly, because like
yellow eye shit.
Yeah, that and all the experiences have a benevolent vibe.
Yeah.
Like,
if it's like a bad fucking vibe and you feel like it's hovering over you or like choking you or some shit, which is totally like, you know, sleep apnea is a thing. Sleep apnea, 100% a thing.
And then you probably feel like pressures on your chest.
Yeah.
You know, what they describe like sleep paralysis to be. Or when they feel like there's something on them, they feel like there's pressure on their chest and they can't get up.
Yeah, there's like people like that who have sleep apnea and sleep deprivation and shit where they'll see the shit and be totally awake in their own head, but their body is asleep and they won't be able to move. But it also doesn't totally explain the people who've only experienced that ever once in their life, have never done drugs, have never really done Adderall or any kind of amphetamines, or don't really have sleep deprivation like that. You know, somebody just hovering over their bed or like standing in their fucking corner at night. And then like, you know, remember when we used to do this stupid shit as kids where we would drink like, we would have this contest at night where we would drink like NyQuil.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And like see who would fall asleep the fastest.
Yeah, me and Dan would go heavy into that shit. We'd probably drink like half, if not more than half of the whole fucking bottle.
And then whoever like fell asleep, the first.
Maybe that shit's still affecting you to this day.
Dude, I never took it up the poop chute though, so I'm not that brain dead.
Whoever would fall asleep first, like we,
Pass the liver.
fucking draw dicks on them and shit like that. Remember that?
Oh, yep.
And
Because you're practically comatose at that point.
yeah. So I remember there was one time when Dan woke up and like freaked the fuck out, and he was like, ah, ah.
What the fuck?
Because he saw like a big shadow spider crawl in front of his face. And that was in Brandon's old house in Capitol. And he was like, I saw a fucking spider and shit. It was all dark. And yeah, that shit happens to people when they fall asleep. You see like sometimes your brain, finds like explanations for shit. And like kind of just comes up with shit on the fly when you're like half asleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude. That's it's fucking spooky. It's creepy. That's spooky.
It'll definitely make you feel unsettled.
Yeah, dude.
When you
Lack
go
of
to
sleep can do that shit to you. And totally ignore the fact that we just told a story where as children we drank fucking NyQuil.
Get lit. At least we didn't do what this generation of people have done. They put it in their ass, dude.
Yeah, at least we didn't.
At least I didn't butt drink NyQuil.
At least we didn't drink Tide Pods.
Yeah. Fucking idiot.
Fucking morons. Oh, man.
We had a lot of Jello shots and caramel milk.
That shit
What?
was lit.
Yeah, that shit was fucking
What are you
awesome.
talking about?
You don't remember? Oh, yeah, you weren't a part of that. But it was your milk, though.
What?
Just times where we've been inebriated.
Long story short, we had a lot of Jello shots, and we went to your house. I don't know why or when.
What?
It was for Hector's birthday.
You had like a whole gallon of like. Yeah, you had like a whole gallon of caramel milk. And,
Dude, he had a gallon of normal milk, and you had to add the caramel. Who the fuck has a gallon
Oh,
of
the
caramel
fucking
milk?
caramel shit, the caramel syrup shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
It was good.
Ain't nothing wrong with it, dude.
We drank so much. And then we walked back to Hector's house and we ate cake out with some girl's tits.
And then we saw a shadow person.
Oh.
I had to correlate it.
So,
That was a good day.
I was gonna rattle off some like stories that I found online.
All right.
Now these stories have been vetted, not like the fucking last episode where some of those stories were fake, some of those stories were totally good.
And then I die.
And then I died. I got I was so fucking mad, dude. So fucking mad. Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
As I take my last breath,
So fucking annoying.
I feel ecstasy.
I feel ecstasy. I come. I come hard.
I come, then die.
Why would you, like, if you're compiling stories and shit, why would you mix the fictional shit with real shit?
Yeah, if you're actually trying to put together a credible, like, little thesis on this, like,
Yeah.
paranormal
Fucking asshole, dude.
investigation.
I forget that guy's username, but fuck that guy. So, here's some experiences.
What?
Here's one I got from a certain forum on the internet that deals with paranormal stuff sometimes. I mean, there's other boards on this quote-unquote forum. But here's one from, like, the paranormal board.
Oh, I bet that's interesting.
Yeah. And it's just kind of like anonymous stories. So some of them might be real, some of them might be fake, some of them might be wholly made up.
Some might turn into smut halfway through.
Yeah. But here is some stuff I found that's pretty interesting. Hello. I'm here to share my paranormal experience with you all and to see if you have all experienced something similar. I'm 33 now, and I was 8 or 6 at the time this happened. I had lain down on the living room couch, either for a nap or to sleep. It was night, and I was alone in the room. I recall there napping I recall laying there napping. At some point, I felt a presence in the room. Opened my eyes, and from the couch, I could see the silhouette of a man with a cloak and a high collar. He was sitting hunched over, and I think he was wearing some kind of hat. So, I guess another Hat Man story. He wasn't moving at all. I felt like he was looking at me. However, I couldn't clearly see his eyes. I was paralyzed with fear and didn't move either. I stared at this apparition in terror for about 10 seconds before I decided to close my eyes, pretend like it wasn't happening. I must have eventually fallen asleep. At the time, when my memory was seeing the apparition was fresh, my childhood mind thought it looked like Count Chocula, the cartoon character on the box of cereal. As an adult, I didn't think too much about it, but I always kind of had it in the back of my mind and saw this strange apparition as a child. It was the only paranormal experience that ever happened to me. Of course, as an adult, I've heard of Shadow Man. I've heard of Shadow People, and eventually the Hat Man. As soon as I heard of Hat Man, something clicked in my mind, and I just realized that what I had seen was this Hat Man apparition. Also, I told nobody about this, not even only my wife. Never spoke to my parents about it that I recall. Never told my friends or even opened up on the internet about it. But here I am now. So that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, that's a little fucking weird.
Fuck that, dude. If I saw that shit, dude, I'd pull it out. I'd start fucking beating it right there. That
is a good distraction.
Yeah. So I got time for...
You might feed the beast, dude.
We're at about 40-something minutes now. 40, 50 minutes. So I'll throw in a couple more stories here, and then we can kind of wrap this up.
All right.
Story number 2. Saw the Hat Man as a child back in the mid-70s. I saw him in a dream within a dream. The only one that I've really had of that experience. I was being chased by something in the deeper dream, running frantically from that thing forever behind you, until I woke up in a sleep where I'd fallen asleep. I thought I'd woken up for real. Everything around me was exactly as it should have been. Location, time, lights. Got up to go to the bathroom, opened the door, and there he was, standing just inside of the door frame, very much like the picture you posted, original poster. The board had like an original, like they usually have like an original poster.
Yeah.
And they'll post like an image first, and people like reply to that. Then I bolted awake, sitting straight up like I had been hooked up to an electric shock machine, panting and wide-eyed, like you might see in a horror flick. I'd always known the thing was separate from me, that it had an identity. Never told anyone but my wife, and found confirmation in the name of Hat Man here on this forum a few years ago. Where's this other one? I had a different story saved that was kind of funny. But I might have to censor this one a little bit.
Why?
You'll see why. Where the fuck is it? Oh, I guess I didn't save it. It was kind of...
Spoiler, it was radical.
No, it wasn't radical. He just used naughty words in it.
Naughty words.
Naughty words.
Like fuck.
Like fuck and cock. And... No, I'm not going to say that.
And bussy.
So, there you go. They were Shadow People. I think this was a pretty successful episode.
Oh, yeah.
Staying on topic. Even though it was me talking most of the time, you know, we kind of had some discourse in here. Fucking...
Some experiences.
Some personal
shit. It was some creepy shit.
Speaking of personal experiences, Lewis has a lot of weird shit that has happened to him in an older house. So if we ever get the chance, we might set up there to do...
We can go to my father's house. that has a lot of creepy shit happening in it.
We'll say anomalies.
Now
Yeah.
we'll save it for the show.
We'll save it for like a ghost episode or something.
Yeah.
We'll go there, tell maybe our own paranormal experiences, and also kind of let Lewis be like the last but the best.
Yep. Even I have some there.
Yeah. I've never been there. I've never really had experiences there myself. But.
It's bad. There's a room with porcelain dolls, musical porcelain clown dolls.
Yeah, and isn't that not even a room? It's like literally like a crawl space. Every horror movie insert.
Yeah, there's 2 crawl spaces.
That's fuck that.
I'm telling you, man. I'm 1,000% convinced people died there.
Yeah, so we'll save that for later. I think Cedric has some experiences at his old house. His mother's house now. And, I had some personal experiences here and there. There is another thing I'd like to throw on to the podcast whenever we get the chance, that bat thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the knocking at the window shit. When I can get more information on that, then we'll definitely do like a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Until then, it's been a good episode. I feel like we had something else to talk about, but now I totally forget.
Yeah. That pretty much sums it up.
And I think this is about it, man. Tune in next time. Next episode, EVPs, electronic voice phenomena. It's going to be a lot of fun because I saved up a lot of... What the fuck are you doing, dude?
Trying to insert like a...
Didn't you hear the ghost?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Fucking
dude.
hear that,
Oh,
dude?
shit. Oh, dude, I got to play that back now. We got to play that back in slow motion.
Yeah, and really it is.
Do you feel the cold spots?
Fuck me.
Ah! Oh,
Not
my
there.
God. Not there. Not my little boy pussy.
Yikes.
So, next time, EVPs. I got a lot of good shit saved. I think it's going to be a pretty good fucking episode. Usually, for this shit, I would like to tell, like, stories and stuff or personal experiences.
Yeah.
But for this episode, I found recordings to play instead.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude.
We're going to get real weird.
Yeah. You ever hear of Hever Castle?
No.
Yeah, dude. It's this haunted castle in fucking England. We'll talk more about it on the next episode.
All right.
Until then, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.